Hey, what's going on, friends? My podcast every day is broken up into two parts on the free platform. The first part, Act 1, is right now. When it's all done, go right on over to Act 2 to get the second half of the podcast. Thank you so much for checking out my show. Hello to each and every one of you, and welcome in to the Eric Zane Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures from right here in the Impact Power Sports studio. Impact Power Sports, a fantastic place to go when you want to buy a golf cart. Who wouldn't want to buy a golf cart? Head on over to their website, impactpowersportsmi.com, and pick and choose. Maybe it's an Easy Go or a Yamaha golf cart. Perhaps you're looking at a side-by-side, maybe a motorcycle, scooter, e-bike. They've got them all at Impact Power Sports. They are along 14 Mile Road in beautiful Rockford, Michigan. First and foremost, I think it's important for me to point out that there is a trivia night tonight to benefit hungry animals. The Grand Rapids Pit Bull Alliance called upon your old pal EZ to host trivia night. And that is the plan. So at about 6:30 is when this is all going to get started. We do have one team from the show that is there. That would be Megan, Stevie, Sarah Rook-Ruck-Roosh, Maureen, Linda, and Pooh Bear. They make up one team. This event is at City Built Brewing Company, 820 Monroe Avenue Northwest, Suite 155 in beautiful Grand Rapids, Michigan. Linda says, no, I'm not playing. Oh, I thought you were. Wait a minute. Were you originally scheduled to be there? So wait, Megan, Sarah, Stevie, Maureen, Pooh Bear. Am I missing anybody? Did you initially say you were going to be there and then you changed your mind? What's going on here? I don't even know. Ryan is here. It's been a while since we've seen hide nor hair. Glad you're here. Welcome into this edition of the Eric Zane Show podcast. So this organization, Grand Rapids Pit Bull Alliance, it's not just pit bulls. It's all dogs. They just happen to call themselves that. I think it all started with pit bulls. Maximum 6 per team. When you go in there, you make a $10 donation or just stop and get a 10-pound or larger bag of pet food. They use the money to buy food, or they just use the food that you donate for folks who need to feed their dogs. So there you go. It's a great group there. Prizes for the top 3 teams. I'm not sure what exactly the prizes are, but the fact of the matter is it's going to be a lot of fun. Have yourself a couple of pops at City Built Brewing Company. I've not been there. So there you go. Look, they even write, join us for a night of fun, challenging questions, and plenty of laughs with Eric at the helm. Don't miss out on all the fun at City Built Brewing Company tonight. Especially encouraged to attend people who don't like me. This is a perfect opportunity for me out in the wild to answer any of your attacking questions that you may have about me. Occasionally, people get butthurt at what I do to earn a living. All right. So welcome in. I want to get right to something that we have coming up on the Thursday, Big Fraud Thursday, Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. As Ryan says, I hope you're wearing your Ogemaw Heights Dirt Person sweatshirt to the event. Yeah, that's where Justin went to high school. They come from dirt. I'm kidding, of course. I sound like Free Beer now. I'm just kidding. So yesterday on the Patreon, I unveiled a bit of audio video from 1995. Late spring 1995. I didn't know this existed. It's of me at my first radio station, Z93. This is perfect material to review for the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Coming up, the next show on Big Fraud Thursday of this week. That will be the 13th of March. Big Fraud Thursday gets started with Who Are These Free Beers at 6. Ben and Eric Patreon podcast at 7. So a couple of new things on that episode of the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. First of all, Ben he says he guarantees he has the drop machine ready to go. Which, he has a drop machine. I have a drop machine. I don't like to use my drop machine when I'm in here doing a show alone. It's distracting if I have to sit here and look for drops. The only time, in my opinion, I've made this very clear that drops work is when there's more than one person and the other person is in charge. The one who's doing less of the talking is hitting the drops. So that will be Ben from his remote location. Now, have we tested it to make sure that it sounds okay, that it's not overpowering? Because, I mean, it's through a Zoom feed. No, we haven't done that. It'll probably be a huge pile of shit. So Ben will be back on the drops, which is kind of the way we did it on the WBBL show. Ryan is here. He says, I'll do the drops. Ryan is great because there was a time during the course of this podcast that he trained his AI to do AI Eric Zane. So he has then AI Eric Zane, and then he would type out crazy shit that I would say. But then we worked and agreed that real life Eric Zane is actually more damaging than AI Eric Zane. Amanda says, I told you we can set up the drops on this live feed. Well, yes, you can, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm looking for. And frankly, the last thing I want is whoever is in the live stream firing off random drops. Ben is one thing. You is another. Ryan says, cue the Amanda show open. Yeah, this is Amanda who said yesterday that bowling is strength training. Chris says that audience members firing off drops would get old in 3 seconds. Yeah, probably. It'd be a huge distraction. I don't know if I'd be down for that. Fun to talk about. Jeremy says, remember this always. The audience is not funny. We think we're funny, but we're not. And that's true. Now, there are moments that a comment in the chat is worthy of hilarity. Is actually worth it to mention and say, that's fucking funny. And there's only a handful of you that can pull that off. Matt says random outbursts are for professionals like the late Kenny and Tophus. R.I.P. Kenny and Tophus. Tophus was a self-imposed banning, I guess. I guess he just left. Kenny was actually, it's like, no, I'm sorry. We're going to have to go our separate ways. And I'll leave it at that. I don't even want to say anything that could be construed as a negative. I don't want to be inflammatory about any of that. Ryan says, holy shit, I take 3 months off and Kenny is slaughtered. Well, yeah, again, I want to keep this above board. But it's been more than a month now. Kenny does still lurk and enjoy the show somehow. But, yeah, unfortunately, we had to part ways. We had some good times for sure. But I am not above drawing the line in the sand with anyone, as you will know. I've done that in the past with the great Zaniac exodus of whatever year that was, and yeah, you got to work at it, but there is a time eventually that I will say, okay, I think we got to wrap this up. Chris K says that Tophus rage quit on his own. Absolutely. And I think that Tophus there are two very, very different scenarios. Tophus quit on his own. Kenny, actually, I had to separate him from us. I did that. Based on all of the dramatics that I've grown tired of it, and we just can't have it anymore. We're trying to have a good time here. But Tophus, very, very different. There was some discussion going on, and Chris told him to calm his tits. That's all he said. And then Tophus, he has a tendency to really go hard. Calm your tits. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Stevie says it. Yes. Cole says Tophus, the most tolerant lefty. Yeah, my MAGA scum here have a lot more tolerance than Tophus. Yeah, he is not tolerant. All of my MAGA scumbags are a hell of a lot more tolerant. I can say the meanest shit ever to my MAGA losers who are here, and it just rolls off their back. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the fact that their guy won the election. Like yesterday, I went hard at them talking about how it's their fucking fault that the Dow lost 1,000 points yesterday. It's because you dumb fucks put him in office. Now, even though what I just said there is extremely inflammatory, all these dumb shits are going to do is sit there and laugh in my fucking face over that. That's all they're going to do. They don't care. I don't know why you idiots think that is a good thing. And this is going to continue. Go look at your 401k. Only MAGA losers can look at their 401ks today. All right? Take a look at the tens of thousands of dollars that you have lost. Okay? And that's happened because of these stupid fucking tariffs. Rebecca with the news flash. She says, my news alerts are telling me that the Dow is still dropping. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to be bankrupt. Molly says, I like Kenny. He's a good dude. He is a good dude. There is no question. But he cannot be on this chat, and I cannot have any contact with Kenny. I am not going to have any contact with Kenny. I have moved on. I am not beyond that. So I want you all to continue your friendship with Kenny. I will not. I am not doing that. For my own livelihood. I'm trying to build a business here. So we are done with that. I don't fault any of you for still being sweet to him, and I encourage you to do that. But we have gone our separate ways. I have said I am sorry, but I've had enough. No more. And that's all I have to say. Mark Ride says, oh, darn, I don't want to look. I looked yesterday. In about a week, I lost a few thousand. Molly says you should give him another shot, Eric. No offense, darling, but that ship has sailed. This isn't like one and done. This has been building for literally years. And so I cannot do that anymore. I cannot do that anymore. And I would love it if I didn't have to talk about it. I know you're wondering, but I would rather talk about fun things, not separating from an audience member. All right. Jeremy says the chat has been much more positive since he and Tophus left. Okay. Chris says he coined the term rage quit. Yeah, there will be no more rage quitting anymore. I can promise you that. We've got we have moved forward and we are enjoying things, and that's the end of it. And that's not intended to be an assault on Kenny. That is not at all what I'm doing. He's watching right now. He just has to pay attention to the commercials now because his setup won't allow, because he's banned. He can't participate on the chat or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, let's get to what I wanted to talk about. I was talking about how Ben and Eric on Thursday, we will be reviewing some of this right here. Okay. There you go. Now that is a supercut of, that is a screenshot from yesterday's a little video that I made to show you. It was kind of like a promotional piece for a video that I'm going to broadcast on Thursday during the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. You'll see there in that clip, that is young Eric and old Eric. What a giant toothy grin. I think it's because the sun's in my eyes. I don't know, but those are big fucking teeth. And I'm making a stupid face. All right. What's going on? Why? How did this come about? Chris in Buffalo sent me this video. It is a video that chronicled the 1995 Z93 Rock and Blues Festival. That is an event that we did, our radio station in Saginaw. And we're going to review this video coming up on Thursday. This is how it starts.
Beauty show today, eh?
Where'd you get that camera? Is that yours?
Yes, it was mine, Eric, and it still is mine exactly 20 years later. I was pretty surprised to find...
That's my pal Rick Church. I talked about this on the Patreon yesterday. Rick is the guy who, in this clip, he's my boss. Prior to that, he was the afternoon guy, fresh from the state of Minnesota, Duluth. He was the one that was at the radio station when my boss at the time had sex with the sales chick on her desk. And I saw it. And I was like, it was such a crazy fucking scenario. Holy shit. Ryan says, how the hell did Chris scrape the butthole of the internet to find this? I don't even want to know how deeply he had to scrape. David says, now that is a great story. I think I should tell it again. I will.
Find that it still worked, at least for playback, which was pretty important because I had these stacks of 8mm tapes that could only be played back in the camera. Picked up a little USB converter from Best Buy, and just like that, we're in the digital Wayback Machine to 1995.
All right, there you go. The Z93, the first ever Rock and Blues Festival. I think we had like 2 or 3 of these things.
Hey, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Getting the stage set up. August 25th, 1995. Okay, now that's a mistake. I thought it was late spring, but it's not. So that means Jim was how old? He was born April, and that was 95, May, June. So Jim was only 4 months old. I was still drinking when this video was made. So I'm guessing that in several of the scenes, I might even be drunk.
What makes
Bands
this
are playing Papa Chubby, Larry McRae.
That's what we started watching against.
This the guy in the middle. This is the one. That's the guy who has the video camera.
I still got some one page.
Right.
You got clip Jordan beside you?
Radio staff of Z93. This guy passed away. He was the general manager of the radio station. There's Joe from Joe and the Poor Boy.
Cigar so we can clear it off. Here, while you're there, watch it burn all these holes on my neck.
Mike Thomas meets Mad Magazine superstar Alfred E. Newman. Hey, I read all your comics. Hey, to the kids.
I love the folding, especially the one with the butt.
I will lift out the idiot parts with me, and we will get into them coming up on a Thursday edition of the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Aram says they keep this stuff on the deep web. Ryan says the sales sex story is the best story I've ever heard on the show, worthy of playing every time you're out. Well, I don't know. I think that the sales sex story was fantastic, but I don't know if I can say it's better than the Gary from the Men's Warehouse incident. Man Bun Chris has already seen the video. He's referencing something called the chili dance. Careful, you don't want to spoil anything. That will be reviewed coming up on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. So a couple years before that video was shot, I was at the mobile home of rock and roll. Radio station is in a double-wide modular home. Nothing else around it. A dirt road leads to it in Freeland, Michigan. Midland area, Freeland. Near where Freeberg grew up, actually. This is before I knew him. I remember walking into the radio station wearing my acid-wash jeans and my cowboy boots and my too-tight T-shirt. So the fashion sense that I have now was around then. The radio station had just gotten some ratings, and they did very well on the mobile home of rock and roll. And there was a ratings celebration. My show started at 7 p.m. The Poor Boy at Night is what it was known as. The guy who shot that video that you saw his image there, talking Rick Church, he was the afternoon guy. He worked till 7. He hadn't been there very long. The boss, Mike, was the program director. I come walking up the walkway to the modular home, and he's standing there, and he's with a lady named Shar, who's a sales lady. Beautiful. Just a stunner. And he goes, "Hey, poor boy. Poor boy, what's up, poor boy?" I'm like, "Hey, hi." I'm like 22 at the time, maybe younger. And he goes, "We're having a ratings party, big success, we killed it." I go, "Oh, awesome, high five." I walk in. By the way, there's a chance he might be watching this. This is, let me just jump ahead. Mike saved this. As bad as this was, the dude saved it. He is still happily married, and he's sober. And this moment that I'm telling you about right now was the catalyst to turn in his badge and quit drinking. And he's still sober to this day. This moment right here. And, man, he went down. This is fucking down in flames. Holy fuck. I walk into the radio station. There's Rick, and I'm getting set. I'm pulling my CDs out to stack up because you got to have them ready to go because once the one ends, you start the next one. You got to put your new CD in and play that one. There's no digital anything. You had to have a live jock on the air. And Rick the dude who made the video goes, hey, I think that there's something going on with that Mike, our boss. I go, yeah? He goes, yeah, I think him and Shar are getting a little fresh. I go, what? I go, come on now. Give me a break. He goes, yeah, I think he's getting fresh. I mean, that's ridiculous. Rick leaves. Night falls. I'm doing my thing. And I peer out, and everybody's gone. All right? And I go, all right. And that's the way it is most nights. I am the only person at the radio station. There's no one there. There was one other person that was at the radio station. It was the engineer, Kevin, who's still around to this day. He might be retired. I don't know. But he's down the hall doing nerd shit. And this dude was a dork. He was a big, robust, rotund guy with bone straight hair that came down in a bowl cut with giant glasses. And he's there doing soldering shit and fixing headphones and whatever. And but I think it's just him and I. But then a little time passes, and I see they're milling now over in the adjacent modular home. That's the sales office. And they're in there kind of like talking, Mike and this chick. I said to Kevin, I go, hey, dude, I think there's something going on. Rick said the same thing to me. He thinks that there's something, that those two are getting fresh. He goes, I don't think they're getting fresh. I go, yeah? And he goes, yeah, Shar's got a steady boyfriend in Mount Pleasant. They live together. And Mike's been married forever, and he's got 2 kids. And I go, oh, okay. I don't know. We're just both really naive. Young and naive, I guess. I have no idea. Next time out of the radio station, out of the studio, I'm walking into like the main area where you walk in. I saw out the window. I actually see Mike, you know, like in the movies when there's going to be some sex going down in the office, they'll clear off a desk and go to town. Well, I saw that. And I'm like, oh. And so I go, holy fuck. And I go back over to Kevin. I go, dude, it's going down. And he like looks out the thing through the blinds and goes, holy shit, fuck. So we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't know. What the fuck can we do? Spray him with a hose? Fuck, what are you asking me for? I'm a 21-year-old fucking idiot wearing acid-washed jeans with fucking snakeskin boots. Fuck you. I'm going back in here and playing some fucking ugly kid Joe. Suck my dick. And then a little bit of time passes. I go back to Kevin. And there's now like the blinds are closed, you know? Like, holy shit, they're fucking, God damn it. And so I go, well, what about his wife? And he goes, well, she's back at home with the kids. I go, oh, fuck. So a little time passes and the hotline rings. I pick it up. And it's Mike's wife. And as soon as I pick it up, I go, oh, yeah, hello, Z93. Hotline. This is Eric. And I get, yeah, hello, this is Barb. Is Mike there? Now, what the fuck would you do here? Would you say, yes, he is? Would you say, yes, and then when she says, can you get him? I'd say, I don't know where he is. Or, I mean, at this point, in my mind, I'm coming up with all these scenarios that are going to make me, each one, a different degree of looking like an asshole and being a fucking idiot, complicit in all this. Now, I could say, yes. Can you get him? Well, I'd be interrupting him from having sex. Can you imagine if I said that? I mean, what the fuck am I going to do? So I did what I should do. Lie. I said, no. I don't know. I haven't seen him. He's not here. Oh, okay. Well, she sensed it. She knew. And, I mean, I don't know if there was an issue at home before that had her wondering something was up, or maybe he talked to her earlier in the day and she thought he might have been hitting the bottle or something. So I go back, I go, Kevin, she's calling me. And, and he goes, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. Then I'm in the studio and I'm getting ready to put my headphones on. Time has passed. All of a sudden, Kevin, who's able to see the parking lot and the road leading to the parking lot, he sees the car coming down the driveway. And, there's fucking dust coming up from behind it, sun setting. You can see some light on the car. And he's like, oh, fuck. And he gets up and comes running down the hall, but he was skipping. I'll never forget it, this big fat fuck with a bowl haircut and giant glasses going, she's here! She's here! And I'm like, oh, no! So she sees his car and her car. And as I turn on the mic, I hear a car accident occur. And she has smashed into one of the cars, I don't remember which one, and damaged it. That was the start of the rage. By the time I'm talking about, and it was right about the time, I think it was Metallica's Black album was out. What year did that come out? What year did Metallica Black album? 1991. Okay, that makes sense. And she starts breaking windows in the sales fucking trailer. And I can hear the glass breaking and screaming and yelling and all sorts of commotion. So I shut the door to the studio and I lock it. And it isn't long before what is going on there has wandered over to the studio. And not the studio, the modular where I'm in, but not my studio. And I do like my talk segment, and I can hear in my headphones coming through the mic all this craziness. And there's a tape, I'm sure, that existed somewhere. I don't think I have it anymore. You couldn't really hear it, though. I remember I went back and listened to it, and I couldn't really hear anything. But I was really rattled. And all I remember is opening up that door and acting like I didn't know what was going on, because I opened up the door and I went, what the hell's going on here? And there's Mike, and his shirt's ripped, and he's bleeding from the fucking face, and there's smeared blood on him. He's bleeding. And I go, and I see him, and he goes, you didn't see nothing. I didn't say anything. You're fucking gone. I go, yeah, okay. I went back in the studio and slammed the fucking door. I don't move. I don't remember what eventually happened to Kevin. I think he bolted. Next thing I know, it's significant time has passed. And before I go out of the studio, I get a phone call. Everybody's left, or so I thought. And it's Mike's wife. She has called back. Now, she's back home. Mike is God knows where. And she says, just want to say thank you for lying to me. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. So I was able to talk with her for extended time and explain to her what I just explained to you. And she was reasonable. I'll never forget that. She understood where I was coming from and why I did what I did. And I think she also took into account my age, because she's quite a few years older than me. And so I explained to her why I did that, and why I lied to her. And then I'm actually like in almost in counseling mode. She's actually talking to me. And I remember talking to her for quite some time. And then I said, hey, can you hang on? I need to use the restroom or something like that. And so I put it on hold, and I walked out of the studio. And as I walk out of the studio, I hear, like, What's that? Is that the cat? Because we had a cat. What the fuck is going on here? This plot thickens. Like, where is this sound coming from? Help me. Like, someone's calling for help. Holy shit. What the fuck? And I go into the production studio, and in the corner, huddled, like holding on to herself, is Shar, the chick. Help me. Help me. I'm like, are you okay? No. And now she's okay physically. But you can only guess where her brain is. And what she doesn't know is that Mike's wife has called her boyfriend. So he's aware, and he is packing her shit as she speaks, and she is not aware of that. So she's sobering up, and the next thing you know, I'm counseling her. So I go, come on, let's go. And I sit her down, and there's like a place to sit, and I go, you need something to drink, Char. I'll get you some water, and maybe there's like a Coke here. I'm like, I'm trying to help her. And so she's sitting there, and she feels terrible. So then I would like talk to her and make her feel as good as I could. And then I would go and pick up the fucking phone and talk to Barb. And so I'm going back and forth from room to room. So I'm like playing song. All right, hang on a second. I got to put on this Soundgarden from this new band called Soundgarden. All right, Z93, here's a new one from this band Nirvana. It's called Smells Like Teen Spirit on Smash It or Trash It. I don't think anybody's going to like this one. Check it out. It's the Poor Boy at Night on Z93. I'm talking to Mike's wife. Hey, can you hang on? Put her on hold. Go talk to the other chick. Oh, my God. And I remember hearing after the fact that, well, because Kevin, the engineer, he was here when the windows were breaking. He said that he saw Barb hold the baby, the kid. She had two kids with her. One was in a car seat, little girl, and the other one, she had with her. And I guess in a fit of rage, she said, "Look what your dad's doing." Holy fuck. He is a grown, well-adjusted man now. I think he's an excellent guitar player these days. He's in his 30s. Everybody's still around. All these people exist in the world. And I had said to Mike, because I still talk to him, I go, Mike, every once in a while I tell this story. And you cannot be mad at me. He goes, I'm not. I go, good. Because there was a lot of damage that was done from that. I was fucked up for a long time. So fuck you. I'm telling this fucking story. You can go fuck yourself. I know, it's cool. So I'm counseling these two women. No one knows where Mike is. I convinced Shar. She's like, I got to go home. I go, all right. Now, I don't even know how drunk she was or if she was even drunk at all. She might have been. But she drove all the way home, which that's like about 35 minutes back to Mount Pleasant. She gets there, all right? Now, I don't know that this is happening, but when she gets there, let me just jump to this part. Then, like an hour later, it's getting near the end of my air shift, and there's another car coming down the fucking road. I go, all right, now what the fuck is this one? And I'm standing in the doorway of the mobile home of rock and roll, Newport cigarette in my hand, and it's the boyfriend and Shar. And he gets out and he sees me, and I look at him, and he looks at me. And then he goes to the trunk and pulls out bags of shit, clothes and stuff, and just throws it in the parking lot. And he opens up the door. He goes, get the fuck out. It's her. She's back. So he's grabbed her clothes, grabbed her, and dropped her off because he's obviously aware because Mike's wife tipped him off at this. So then she's laying then he peels out, and I go, oh, fuck. She's laying in the dirt. She gets up. She grabs a bag. I go, come on. I help her up. I get her in there. There's like a cot in the back, I guess. So she ended up crashing there for the night. That's about all I remember from that night. I remember driving home and thinking, what a fucking catastrophe. Mark says, wait, she had a kid in her car when she was playing Demolition Derby. Two kids. A boy and a girl. Yes. Woman scorned. I don't know. Don't ask me. I have never spoken to Mike's wife again. But that was Friday. Saturday comes and goes. I talked to a few people at the radio station. There's an emergency meeting on Monday. And it's Mike. And the whole staff is there. And he apologizes for his behavior. He apologizes to me even more so because I was involved. And he then says I'm an alcoholic. He did it right, man. You got to get after it. He goes, I'm checking myself into rehab. I'm going to be going away for a little bit. And he did. He vanished. Rick's going to run the radio station while I'm going to inpatient. He did like 40 days. Let him out, and he's a fucking new man. He never went back, and he saved it. I give his wife so much credit. And to this day, I think even after I helped her out, she doesn't want anything to do with me. I don't reach out to her or anything like that. But I can only imagine how terrible it would be if I actually came face to face with her. I felt bad for her. I felt the most bad for her. The kids don't recall anything. There's no way. Yeah, that was fucking unbelievable. I was like, holy shit. I couldn't wait to get home and tell Pooh Bear that story. I wasn't even married then. Chris K says that Mike saving this is Captain Smith saving the Titanic at the last minute. Yeah, it was unbelievable. What an effort. And he turned it around. He's been sober ever since. My God. All right. So there you go. That is an all-timer story. Today marks 5 years since COVID. This was the day that it really started to become more of an issue when, like, Tom Hanks said, I got it. Me and Rita, we got it. And all of the world went, oh, my God, Tom Hanks has got it. What are we going to do? We're fucked. And then I think a basketball player got it. And then they, like, wiped out. All right, we're going to the NBA is canceling that game. We are going to nip COVID in the bud and make it so that we're stopping it in its tracks. Rudy Gobert has it from the Utah Jazz. We're doing our part. That a whole NBA season was canceled. Then there was the NCAA March Madness. And they said, all right, we're going to do our part, no fans. And then they ended up saying, all right, no tournament. And then the NBA is like, no more basketball. I was at Van Andel Arena when all of what I'm telling you happened. Like, I was watching the updates on my phone. Tom Hanks has it. And the ref's like, all right, I'm going to call a penalty. What is it? It's on COVID. Tom Hanks has it. Everybody clear the ice. Not really. But when the game ended, and everybody seemed to have an idea that the AHL wasn't coming back. And I didn't believe it. I thought, come on, man. Turn that frown upside down. All we got to do is flatten the curve. It's going to take about 4 days. Give me a fucking break. Rebecca says, I was watching the updates come through during that Griffins game. You mean you were in the facility with me? I didn't realize you were a fan. Maybe I did know that. I don't know. I remember, the governor of Michigan's like, we're just going to flatten the curve. It's just going to slow this thing down. At the time, I think there was 5,000 people around the globe who had died, and it was a huge deal because of it. Little did we know that you would have to multiply that times 1,650 to get the number of actual dead when it was all said and done. Schools ended up calling it quits. And then all the kids got stupid. If you had a kid that was like in 8th grade when this happened, they're at the epicenter of stupid, because those kids, at first they were like, yeah, all right, 2 weeks off, then they'll be back. And then shit hit the fan. They ended up wiping out the school year. Then there was remote learning. And a lot of people were like, remote learning is great. It's the same thing as getting educated in school, but it's really not. They would have been better off just no school whatsoever. Because when those kids got back, they were stupid. So as this whole batch of kids works their way now out of school, God forbid if you have to hire a COVID kid who is now a COVID adult, because they can't do anything. They're the worst. And it's all COVID's fault. It's kind of like there was a period of time when all American cars would rust out because they were making them with shitty steel. These COVID students are the shitty American steel. So make sure you don't hire any of these kids. The days turned into weeks turned into months. And then my mom died. Let's see, that was March, so April, May, June, July, August, September. It took 7 months, and it finally got her. October 16th of that year. And then a lot of other people died. She was in the first big wave because it hit, and then it kind of petered out a little, and then it hit again. And then there was like several more. I remember there was, they didn't have the space at a lot of the morgues. So they were setting up temporary morgues, especially in large populated areas. And occasionally you'd see a story about how a temporary morgue, like the cooling system would break, and there'd be like COVID leaking street squeege, where they'd have to like go, clean up the street. You'd have to hose the street down from COVID decomposing corpse street squeege. Mark says, sorry for your loss. Yeah, that was a terrible moment. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. A lot of job loss. 5 years ago today, the markets dipped dramatically. Now, the markets dropped dramatically, but not nearly as far as what they tanked yesterday because of our stupid, dumb fuck president who is trying to put us all in the fucking poorhouse. It's worth mentioning again. All MAGA idiots, check to see how much of your money Trump has destroyed. Now, eventually it can come back if the markets pick up. But my God, I cannot believe that. I wonder what the Dow is doing right this moment. Dow now. No big deal. Yesterday's near 1,000 points has been followed up by right now nearly another 500 points. Get the fuck out of here. That is unbelievable. This is all on the heels of Trump and his tariffs. It was bad enough. I could understand the thinning out the government, like firing people who maybe have redundant positions or whatever, I guess, because of government excess. But this tariff thing is fucking up. And not only that, he hasn't even implemented it. He kicked the can down the road to April again, April 7th. Just the threat of it is causing turmoil in the markets. All right, so only MAGA losers can look at their 401ks, and then you can get your buyer's remorse because you put this piece of shit in office who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. My God. All right, that is Act 1 of the podcast. Act 2 is available right after this one. Go check it out. What are you doing? Don't miss a second of it. Thank you so much.